I want to talk to you today about how the Miami University Humanities Center is leading cross-disciplinary inquiry into grand challenges, and why the humanities, disciplines like history, philosophy, literature, media, and culture studies, are so important to facing those challenges. Grand challenges are the thorny crises that define generations and sometimes entire ages. They are notoriously complex, large in scale, and difficult to resolve because they're woven into all kinds of social institutions. Each generation has its own grand challenges: bubonic plague, locusts, slavery, child labor, homelessness, discrimination, and so on. Today, the challenges we face include climate change, racial injustice, pandemic, and growing distrust in the institutions of democracy. Whether a society can overcome these kinds of challenges often determines its future and depends heavily on whether its leading citizens have the intellectual tools to think through complex problems like these. Addressing grand challenges is one of the most important functions of a university. It's also one of the best ways to prepare students to be civically minded and capable of tackling complicated problems. We live in an age of science, so we're used to thinking of grand challenges as technical problems. And indeed, many grand challenges have been solved by brilliant breakthroughs in engineering, science, and technology. But it's a mistake to think of grand challenges simply as problems needing a technical fix. If this last year taught us anything, it's that brilliant science alone is not enough to resolve grand challenges. This year, scientists around the world did what many said was impossible. Multiple teams created highly effective vaccines within a year. And yet, those breakthroughs alone have not been enough to terminate the pandemic we're in. The case of climate change is even more instructive. Outstanding science on climate change has been in place for several decades, and yet climate change remains one of the thorniest problems facing our world. That's because, like all grand challenges, these ones have dimensions that are not simply about science and technology. They are economic, psychological, political, ethical, and communicative. And so addressing grand challenges requires scholars from all areas of a university and leaders from all parts of a society. What about the humanities? Every grand challenge contains problems embedded within it that humanists call the enduring questions. Enduring questions are questions that are never answered. Every society must wrestle with them perpetually in response to changing social conditions. They include things like how to form a more perfect government, how to coexist peacefully, how to live a meaningful life. What is the proper balance between individual freedom and the good of the whole? What is truth? How do we know? And what, if anything, should we do about discourse that seems untruthful? These questions and many others like them have been the stuff of the humanities for thousands of years. It's the entanglement of grand challenges with enduring questions that makes the humanities so essential in facing these problems. When facing grand challenges, we need to understand them in their historical context, with an eye toward how other societies resolved or failed to resolve these problems. We need a complex ethical framework, and we need to see the communicative and representational dimensions of these problems. That's one reason why the Humanities Center at Miami University has been staging large inquiry programs into grand challenges. Our John W. Altman program has focused on the future of cities, global human migration, truth and lies, and the social dimensions of health and medicine. This year, we will explore the history of race and racism in an effort to understand its frustrating persistence in our world. Each year, pairs of faculty members compete to run a new Altman program. When a team is selected, they assemble a larger group of 10 faculty members and 10 students from multiple disciplines in the humanities and the arts, social sciences, and sciences. This team works together throughout the year in an intense faculty seminar. The faculty seminar is a rare place where faculty have the opportunity to have a class of their own. It's a place for them to share their work with each other, to challenge each other, and often to work across disciplines in transformative ways. One of my favorite moments in an Altman seminar was in a program on globalization. Almost everyone in the program was talking about globalization as a contemporary problem, something that started in the last half of the 20th century, until a classicist presented work on ancient Hellenization and Romanization. And most of us in the room had to confront the fact that many of the things we thought were new had actually been happening for thousands of years. The Altman program also includes a large series of public lectures by distinguished intellectuals, writers, and artists. These figures come to Oxford not only to give lectures, but also to interact with students. Our student fellows are especially engaged with these distinguished intellectuals. They often interview them, making blogs, podcasts, and films that they share with the public to educate our community about the dimensions of the problem we are studying. Our student fellows also undertake year-long research projects under the direction of a faculty mentor and grad student supervisors. One of my proudest moments each year is when these student fellows present their work to a large audience of faculty, students, and visitors. We have never had a symposium with these lectures when one of our visitors did not comment on how outstanding the work of our students was. The Altman program is connected to classes across the university. There are special Altman program classes each year, but also faculty from across the university connect their ongoing work to the Altman program, sending students to public lectures, ensuring that they attend coffee hours with some of our visitors. Through this mechanism, we are able to create a year-long, campus-wide inquiry program that asks our entire community to think about a serious problem from multiple different dimensions over the course of a year. This is, in some ways, an ideal version of what it means to be a university. The goal of this structure is to have a sustained year-long campus-wide inquiry program where all participants engage a serious social problem from multiple perspectives. Each year, this program attracts a total audience in the thousands. An external review called it one of the best inquiry programs in the world. The Altman program is only one of 16 programs offered by the Humanities Center. All of them offer opportunities that are not available to faculty in their departments or to students in ordinary classes. The Humanities Center coordinates a number of cross-disciplinary working groups that invite faculty together from various disciplines to work on problems of common interest. Our Research Collaborative Awards have allowed teams of faculty to complete a PBS documentary, to launch a successful podcast, and to mount a program called Approaching Extinction. We also run a faculty publishing program that each winter puts faculty into intense collaborations where they help each other write books, find grants, develop digital projects, and bring their work to public audiences. Each year, these programs help to foster multiple book publications by our faculty. The center also offers a number of student programs. All of them emphasize the practical dimensions of the humanities. Our humanities labs allow teams of faculty and students to use humanities research to engage the public. Right now, we have one lab team working in Cincinnati's Over the Rhine neighborhood, where they're helping a community recover its history and curate it for public display. We have another team at work in Cincinnati's Aiken High School. They're working on an app that will teach African American history more effectively. We have numerous programs to help student researchers develop their work, allowing them to work one-on-one with faculty members, to contribute something real to the world, and to distinguish themselves by taking on projects that require independence and perseverance. Employers seek these qualities in graduates. We know that because our 7-year-old award-winning Humanities Works program provides data on humanities outcomes and helps our students articulate how their degree has prepared them to wrestle with complex problems, evaluate evidence, and understand the perspectives of others. I was talking to one of our alumni who was the head of a very large corporation, and he said, "We don't really need more specialists. We need more generalists. Sure, we need people that know something, but we need people that know a little something about everything." The point that he was making is that technical expertise is not enough. Leadership in any field requires historical perspective, rhetorical skill, the empathy cultivated by broad reading, and an ethical bearing that's honed in philosophical inquiry. These are the qualities that we are trying to cultivate in our students here at Miami University. And they are the qualities that our future leaders will need if we are going to make progress on public health, climate change, and the other grand challenges of our time.